So, today we're going to dig into why you feel unqualified, unequipped, and like an imposter, what's exactly going on spiritually, and what you can do when those thoughts come swinging hard. Because the truth is, you're not an imposter. You've just been believing the wrong story. Hey, friend, let me guess. You're exhausted from overthinking, second guessing yourself, and feeling stuck in a cycle of worry and overwhelm. No matter how hard you try, it feels like nothing changes. You wonder if you're the problem, if you'll ever feel peace again. You are not alone, and the good news, you don't have to stay stuck. Welcome to Her Unraveled Life. I'm Amy Wadlington, a Christian life coach, spiritual mentor, and a woman who has walked through fire and come out stronger. I've faced trauma, single parenthood, financial struggles, and chronic illness, but through faith and mindset work, I found peace, and so can you. Here's how I can help. We'll uncover what's really keeping you stuck so you can finally quiet your mind, take control of your thoughts, and break free from overwhelm. You'll reconnect with God, gain clarity in your calling, and step forward with confidence. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living with peace, clarity, and purpose, you're in the right place. And if you want to go deeper, I offer one-on-one coaching for real, lasting change. So grab a pen, some paper, and that cup of coffee you've reheated 3 times because it's time to unravel the chaos and step into the life God has for you. Let's get started. Hey friend, welcome back to Her Unraveled Life. I'm your host, Amy Wadlington. I need to tell you about this podcast episode that I listened to recently, twice actually, and I'm not even kidding. I will probably listen to it a few more times. It was packed full of so much good, rich, and helpful content. It was from the Jasmine Star Show, and she talked about the power of saying, I don't know. I will link it in the show notes for you if you want to go back and listen to it. So, how does saying, I don't know, empower us? It releases us of the pressure to know all the answers and have it all figured out because you and I both know we don't and we never will. Where is God leading me and how are we going to get there? I don't know. God is telling me to do this thing, but where will the money come so that I can do it? I don't know. I've done everything God has asked me to do. I've started the business. I've written the book. I created the podcast. Will I ever be able to quit my day job and do what I really love to do? I don't know. But God does. God knows. 3 simple words and yet total freedom. It's like taking in a breath of fresh air. Will my kids graduate and have fulfilling lives with 2.5 kids and a mortgage that they can easily afford? I don't know. Am I going to lose my job or have to stay in a job that I hate? I don't know. Will I always be tired and not feel well with chronic illness and autoimmunity? I don't know. Because when we admit that we don't know, we stop pretending like we have to. We let go of the pressure to predict the outcome, control the path or the pain, and to carry the weight of what might happen or what might not happen. And here's where it ties in for us. When God gives us a glimpse of his vision for our lives, our first reaction is often, no, I can't do that. Or that's way too big. Surely you meant someone else. Or there's no way that was God. I just have a wild imagination. Suddenly we feel like a poser, or as the kids say these days, an imposter. But hear me out on this. The outcome, that's not on you. The outcome is God's job. Your job is obedience. It's looking to Him, loving Him with your whole heart, loving others well, resting in His promises, and taking one obedient step at a time, seeking Him. And if you're in that space right now where you're saying, I don't even know what the next step is, let me tell you, that's not failure, it's training. God is building your trust muscles. I was talking with a friend this past weekend about how we think we know things, but we really don't. And it reminded me of Daniel from the Karate Kid. You remember, right? How Mr. Miyagi tells him to wax the car, wax on, wax off. And then he tells him to sand the floor, paint the fence, paint the house. And of course, don't forget to breathe. At some point, Daniel snaps and he feels like he's just doing chores, like he's being totally taken advantage of. Why are you making me do all of this busy work? You said you were going to teach me karate. But what he didn't realize was that Mr. Miyagi had been teaching him all along. Every motion, every repetition, it was all training. It was training his muscles, training his reactions, training his brain to move in ways that he didn't yet understand. And I think that's exactly how God works with us sometimes. He gives us these small, seemingly unrelated steps, things that make no sense to our logical minds. We're like, Lord, why are you telling me to forgive her? Why do you want me to rest right now? Why are you asking me to stay put when I just want to run ahead? What does what happened to me in third grade have anything to do with starting a business? And it feels like he's wasting our time. Or worse, like we're being tricked or duped because it doesn't look like progress. But, friend, it's not punishment, it's preparation. It's not nonsense, it's next level training. Our brains are wired to predict the outcome to keep us safe. They're constantly scanning for patterns, trying to fit everything into neat little categories. And when something doesn't make sense, your nervous system throws up the danger sign. It whispers, "This can't be God. It feels too weird, too slow, or too hard, or completely unrelated," just like Daniel was with Mr. Miyagi. But here's the truth: the only certainty that we have in this life is God, not the plan, not the timeline, not the outcome, just Him. So if you're in the wax on, wax off season, keep going, keep trusting. You're not being sidelined, you're being strengthened. It might not look like the breakthrough that you pictured. It might feel pointless or frustrating, but what feels like delay is often God developing your foundation. And this idea of certainty, it's something that we all cling to, whether we realize it or not. Just last week, Facebook memories reminded me of 2020, right after I lost my job, smack in the middle of what felt like absolute chaos. Before COVID, we all thought that life was certain. We were going about our daily lives, we had our routines, we were going to work, we were going to school, we were going to the stores, going out to eat. And then the pandemic hit. It was like the entire world got tossed into a snow globe and shaken hard. All the hidden gunk that usually settles quietly at the bottom, it was suddenly everywhere. Everything that we trusted got stirred up. Jobs were lost. Institutions that we believed in forever were being exposed. Things that looked stable were anything but. And for the first time, we realized nothing is certain, even if it feels like we're living in a routine and everything feels certain. But, friend, that's exactly what happens when God calls you into something new. He allows the shaking, not to harm you, but to reveal what needs healing. The comfort gets disturbed, the wounds rise to the surface, and it's messy, disorienting, and really uncomfortable. But it's also holy. Because when you finally get to the place where you can say, God, I don't know, He says, good, now watch what I can do. Now, here's the kicker, because I know someone listening is right here. You finally get bold enough to take the first step. You say, okay, God, I trust you. And then 5 seconds later, boom, imposter syndrome shows up like a wrecking ball. It's that gnawing voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? You're not qualified. Someone else is already doing it better. God must have picked the wrong girl. You don't have what it takes. Ever thought those things? Me too. For me, imposter syndrome was its worst when I was a health coach, but I was still struggling with my weight. We think we need to be there, quote unquote, to do what God is calling us to do. But really, what we need to do is exactly what God is telling us to do. So today, we're going to dig into why you feel unqualified, unequipped, and like an imposter, what's exactly going on spiritually, and what you can do when those thoughts come swinging hard. Because the truth is, you're not an imposter. You've just been believing the wrong story. Imposter syndrome is not proof that you're doing the wrong thing. It's often proof that you're walking straight into enemy territory and he's trying to stop you. When you step into something new, bold, or God size, the resistance will show up. And here's the kicker, that resistance usually feels pretty logical. It sounds like, I just need to wait until I feel more confident or more ready. Or I probably need to take one more course or read one more book. This isn't the right time. I'm too busy. Maybe after the kids graduate. Friend, let me say this with love. That is fear disguised as wisdom. It's fear with a clipboard and glasses trying to sound professional, but it's still fear. And behind that fear is a lie that says that you have to be more, do more, or know more before you can obey what God has already told you to do. Let's go a layer deeper. The real reason that you feel unqualified and unequipped isn't because you're lacking something. It's because your identity has been tangled up in what you do instead of who you are in Christ. Let that sink in for a minute. You've been taught by culture, the church, your upbringing, maybe even by your own inner critic, that you have to earn your place at the table. So when God invites you to something new, something big, something holy, you feel like you need a resume to prove that you belong there. But the truth is, God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. I mean, look at Moses. He literally argued with God because he had a speech problem and he said that he wasn't the best person for the job. Gideon was hiding in a wine press when God called him a mighty warrior. Esther, she didn't feel ready, but she showed up anyway. And David, he was anointed as king when he was still a shepherd boy. You feeling unqualified and unequipped doesn't disqualify you. It just means that you're stepping into a space that requires his strength, not yours. Now, before we get into how to deal with imposter syndrome when it hits, I want to share something that might help this all make a little bit more sense. For most of my life, learning new things has come pretty easily to me. I'm saying that with pure humility, I promise. Like scary easy. I was that B plus student who didn't study, I didn't turn in half of my homework, and I still managed to coast by without much effort. Every year, my teachers would write the same thing on my report card, and it drove me crazy. If Amy just applied herself, she would excel in every subject. And it annoyed the heck out of me. But honestly, they weren't wrong. I didn't like school, so I didn't apply myself. I showed up because I was a rule follower and I didn't want to disappoint anyone. Not my teachers, not my mom. But I wasn't really engaged because I didn't have to be. It wasn't until life stopped being easy that I realized how much I relied on things just working out. When I fully accepted Jesus as my savior in my early 30s, it wasn't because everything was sunshine and smooth sailing. It was because life got really hard. Suddenly, the things that used to come naturally didn't. The favor, the clarity, the confidence, it felt like they had packed their bags and peaced out. And when God called me, when I knew that I knew that I knew that He had something more for me, that's when things got even harder. I could feel the weight of His promises. I could see the vision that He was giving me, but I couldn't understand why nothing was happening. It felt like everything stalled. And instead of a fast pass into my purpose, I got stuck in the slow lane of unlearning old ways, learning how to hear His voice, healing deep wounds, and facing parts of myself that I had avoided for years. And honestly, it was really frustrating because for the first time in my life, I couldn't just figure it out. I had to depend on Him. And that dependence felt foreign, uncomfortable, even painful at times. But here's what I've learned: God will strip away your self sufficiency to teach you how to rely on Him. Here's the thing that no one tells you: preparation doesn't always feel holy. It feels awkward, it feels uncomfortable, and it feels really unfamiliar, which only adds to that feeling of being an imposter. You start thinking, if I was actually called by God, wouldn't this feel more natural? Or if this were really from God, wouldn't this come easier? But the truth is, growth always feels foreign at first. Probably even more so for those of us who had things that did come easily to us early in life. Those who had to work hard to see results probably have other things that they have to deal with, like thinking that they need to work hard to earn God's approval, for example. So, whether everything came easily to you or not, we all have junk that God is ready and willing to help us clean up. Just because something is unfamiliar doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that you're stepping into a new identity and your old mindset hasn't caught up yet. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that we become a whole new person when we believe. It says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, a new creation has come. The old has gone and the new is here. Of course, we're going to feel like an imposter. We're literally no longer the same person that we used to be. And that tension, that gap between who you used to be and who God is calling you to become, that's where the enemy loves to whisper, see, you don't belong here. But friend, if you didn't belong here, you wouldn't be here. If God didn't call you, He wouldn't be preparing you. So, yes, it feels so foreign, but foreign isn't fake or the wrong fit. It's just new. Just because it's new for you doesn't mean that it's new for God. Okay, let's get practical. Here's my 3-step coaching process to shift out of imposter syndrome and into Holy Spirit fueled confidence. Step number 1 is recognize the voice. Ask yourself, is this God's voice or the enemy's? God convicts. He invites us to grow lovingly. And the enemy, he condemns, he shames and paralyzes. So when that thought hits, pause and say, that's not God, that's fear. And I don't have to agree with it. Remember, you don't have to believe everything that you think. You get to take thoughts captive and make them obey to truth. I have several episodes about how to do this. Episode 38 is probably a really good place for you to start. Now, step number 2 is rewire the belief. This is where I bring journaling and mindset work in with my clients. Ask yourself, what is this thought that I'm having, and how does it make me feel emotionally, and how does it make me feel physically? A lot of times when we have thoughts that aren't true, we get a pit in our stomach or a twitch in our eye. Some people say that it feels heavy on their chest. So there's lots of different things that feel off physically. So pay attention to what that is. And then the next journaling question might be, where did I first start believing the lie that I had to have everything figured out? For some of us, it might be really early in childhood and we can't put our finger on it, but we can start to see a pattern that started really early on. Some of us, it was in middle school or high school when we were trying to fit in. Or for some of us, it might be in our early 20s when we got married and we were trying to figure everything out so that we didn't upset the person that we were married to. It's different for all of us. And then, what would God say to me about this? What's the truth? And then flip it. If your thought says, I have to have everything figured out before I can start, speak the truth. God equips me as I go. I don't know the outcome, but God does. Write it out, declare it, speak it out loud until your brain catches up with your spirit. And then step number 3 is respond in obedience, not emotion. Listen, you might not feel confident. You might feel really unsure, unsteady, maybe even terrified. But obedience isn't about feeling ready. It's about trusting that God is. Remember to say, I don't know, when your mind keeps trying to figure out what the outcome is. It's not your job to know the outcome. So take the step, send the email, record the podcast, share the post, write the book, start the business. Say yes, even if your voice shakes. God reminds us throughout the Bible not to be anxious, not to worry, to be strong, and to be courageous. He knows that we deal with fear, but He didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us one of power, of love, and a sound mind. That's from 2 Timothy 1:7. So let me leave you with this. You're not behind. You're not a disappointment. You're not unqualified or unequipped. And you're not an imposter. You're just standing at the edge of something huge, and the enemy is doing everything that he can to make you back down, and your brain is doing everything it can to keep you safe. But guess what? You're safe in God's hands, even when it feels like you're not. You can move forward, even if your knees are knocking, because you are chosen, you are called, you are a daughter of the true King, and God doesn't make mistakes. So if this episode hit home for you, I want you to do two things. Go grab my free 3-day breakthrough journaling guide. It's designed to help you uncover the lies that are keeping you stuck and replace them with truth. Women are literally having breakthroughs on day one. You'll find the link in the show notes. And then number two is if you know you need accountability, support, and practical tools to get unstuck and step into your calling, I want to invite you to work with me one-on-one or at least join my free Facebook group. You can find it at amywadlington.com/community, or you can book a free call with me to see if we're a good fit at amywadlington.com/booking. You don't have to keep circling the same mountain alone. Let's do this together. And hey, if this episode had blessed you, would you take 30 seconds to leave a review for me, please? It helps more women find the show and get the breakthrough that they've been praying for. I'm cheering you on always. Until next time. That's it for today, friend. Before you go, if this podcast has blessed you, the best way you can say thank you is to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts or leave a 5-star rating wherever you listen. And don't forget to hit follow so you never miss an episode. The second thing you can do, share it with a friend, because when you do, you're creating a ripple effect, helping more women step into the breakthrough they've been praying for. And last, if there is ever a topic you'd like me to cover, please reach out and let me know. I'm here to help you get the breakthrough that you need. And just in case no one has told you today, look at how far you have come. There hasn't been a single challenge you haven't overcome. You are strong, capable, and gifted, and God has a beautiful purpose and plan for your life. You are the daughter of the one true King, His masterpiece, and your story is a testimony to other women. If you're ready to take this work deeper, I'd love to help you one-on-one. Visit amywadlington.com/coaching to learn more about working together. Keep shining, keep growing, and be so incredibly proud of the woman you are and the woman you are becoming. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.